And we're coming to you live from the Built Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network and wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Friday morning. Yes, a feel-good football Friday. We've got a fun, big announcement at 8 a.m. concerning Boomer and Gio live at the Paramount on November 22nd. So make sure that you're listening. And then 2 hours from now, very, very excited to tell you who will be joining us on that Friday night in Huntington. We had a game that we were hoping, because on paper it looked like it, a really high-scoring, fun, controversial, up and down the field in the second-half football game on Thursday Night Football last night. And, of course, here we are with the officials again at the end of this game. The Jets need to win, and that's something we're going to be saying every single week here on out if they want to get back into this AFC playoff race. But the result last night certainly did help them if you are hanging on to hope. And at some point, I'm sure we'll mention the Giants and the Panthers in some sort of comedic way, because that is the worst game probably of the year, and it's overseas on top of it, standalone in the morning on Sunday. Good morning, Boomer. How are you? Good morning to the cutie pie. Ting-a-ling-a-ling.
Yeah, ting-a-ling-a-ling. Yeah, ting-a-ling-a-ling my ass. I will say that couple things. The NFL's got a major problem on their hands. I mean, they really do. I mean, these officiating gaffes are, look, there are too many of them, and too many of them in really big spots in standalone games. And I don't know what it is. I know it's not an easy job. I don't want to add more officials to the field. I don't know how they get this thing right. I mean, a couple of these things that took place at the end of this game last night were just so obvious and just were not called. And I personally yesterday, I picked the Bengals to cover and I picked the Ravens to win. And I picked it to be a high-scoring game because neither team can play defense.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was right on all of those fronts. So I'm happy.
Yeah.
I wake up this morning, I'm happy I got it right.
You're happy to be right. Nothing makes you happier.
I predicted it right. I felt right about it and everything. But what I don't feel right about is watching the way these games are unfolding late in the game. I love the fact that Zach Taylor went for 2 points at the end of the game to try to win the game, because he saw what Bill Belichick saw many, 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 many years ago, when Bill Belichick had to go for it on fourth down because they couldn't stop Peyton Manning in Indianapolis. And everybody asked Bill, after the game, why would you go for it on your side of the 50, on fourth down? And he was like, were you watching the game? Did you feel the game? I mean, did you see what the other team was doing to our defense?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Lamar Jackson and the Ravens were doing to the Bengal defense, man. He had an unbelievable fourth quarter, Lamar did. And it all really stemmed from a fumble by Chase Brown.
Yeah, that started everything. You're right.
Right. So right after that fumble, man, 4 straight touchdowns by Lamar's offense.
And then that previous offensive possession, the Ravens offense got booed off the field by their home fans. They went from that to total explosion and victory. But the officials' discussions are tiring because it's every single week. But I guess the one question that I have and would need to know, and it's going to be inconsistent. It's a very tough job. There's different crews, different guys, everything. It's never going to be perfect. But what I need to know, just like this in every other sport, late in a game, are these guys afraid to throw the flags because they don't want to be the reason why a team wins or loses, which is ironic because if they don't throw the flag, it's the same thing. But I feel like some guys in these situations are like, I don't want to call that holding. I don't want to call that and give them another opportunity. And then I have to stand there and be the one who called the flag. Oh, by the way, on the road.
But I would just say if it's a penalty, it's a penalty. And, how many times are we all sitting there as fans watching the game and we're all waiting to see whether or not there's a penalty flag after like a big play down the field?
Sure.
And how many times is there a penalty flag that there's holding, or if there's a ball that's missed down the field and it's 3rd and 17 and all of a sudden you got an illegal contact out of the blue somewhere and that gives the offense an automatic first down? I mean, at the end of the day, you have to call the game the way the game is supposed to be called.
I'm not arguing that, but do you think it comes into play because it's human nature? Like, if that happened in the second quarter, that 2-point try, Are they throwing flags on that play?
I'm not so much worried about that one as I am, the actual hit to the quarterback's head again. If you have Joe Burrow getting, face mask is getting pulled, I mean, like, you got to call the play. You got to call it as you see it. It's kind of like, when you think about what happened to Sam Darnold when he almost had his head ripped off.
Yeah, that was one of the worst missed calls
again,
ever.
So we have a lot of this, and the NFL's got a major problem. I mean, I don't suspect that anybody from the NFL office is going to come out and say, yeah, we understand that we have, inconsistency issues and things of that nature. And they're not going to do that. But we as fans are frustrated by it. And I know that I'm sure Bengal fans are a little bit disgusted this morning, to say the least. But
all right, so but I'll ask you again though, because I am curious to your answer to this. And I haven't gotten yet.
I know. Many times we've said in basketball games, swallow the whistle. Don't be a part of the game. Let the players play.
We never talked about that in football terms, really. We never
I hate
did.
that. I don't like that. And I never believed that when I was playing. I never did. And I certainly, as a broadcaster, all the years that I've done games, I don't believe that. I actually do. Knowing Gene Steratore as well and working with him for as long as I have, there is no question in my mind that there's nothing nefarious going on. There's none of that kind of crap. I'm saying, is it human nature that you would put your whistle away and just let the players play? When there are obvious penalties, you have to call them no matter where they happen in the game.
Yeah, of course, but do you think that is an influence, really? Because I'm trying to find an answer. So, like, there is an official who is watching Joe Burrow get smacked in the face, and that gets called probably 95% of the time in the NFL. And in this 5% in a national TV standalone game that is going crazy in a fourth quarter, and it's the road team that would have benefited from it, is human nature influencing that call and someone not wanting to throw it and getting involved, because there's no other explanation for this stuff.
I know. The other thing too is that Joe Burrow was asked about it after the game.
He said, "I never get those calls.
I never get those calls." He goes, "I'm not Tom." He didn't say this, but I'm thinking to him. He's thinking, "Look, I'm not Tom Brady. They're not going to treat me like a piece of fine china. I'm Joe Burrow. I play for the Bengals. This is the way it goes every week."
Yeah, but I mean,
I got to tell you, he was amazing last night too. If I could ever design the way that you want to play the position of quarterback, I mean, totally, this is what teams want. This is how you're supposed to play it, not helter skelter. In control of everything, throwing great passes over the tops of outreach. The arms that were stretched out and the hands that were stretched out by the Baltimore defenders. I mean, this game was about as picture perfect from a quarterback standpoint as you could say. Now, on the other side, I mean, I can't say enough about what Lamar did. He just, again, because their defense can't stop the pass, even though they did have 3 sacks, Matabuke had a really good game yesterday for the Ravens, and I don't think the Bengals had it. I don't remember the Bengals having a sack at all last night. But these two quarterbacks going head-to-head, Lamar owns Joe Burrow in terms of head-to-head matchups. And that fourth quarter after that fumble, I mean, he was lightning. He was lightning. And Joe Burrow, to his credit, was matching him play for play. And I love the fact that Zach Taylor came down and went for it and said, "Hey, I'm going to go for a 2-point play." And really, if you're the coach, you're sitting there going, my defense just got shredded 4 straight series for touchdowns.
Oh, going for 2 was an absolute right call. I mean, there's no two ways about it. And I think that most football fans would agree. And it's a shame for me because I really like this Bengals team. I like watching them. I wanted them to, but they're still in the mix. They could definitely still go on a run and make it into the postseason. But this was a critical game for them. I mean, they lost these 2 really close games to the Ravens. They lost a really close game to the Kansas City Chiefs. We know that they can compete with the best in the conference. They may not get that opportunity because of these weird, slow starts that they have and not being able to finish. But watching, I would have to say that right now, even more so than Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, watching Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase together, it's the most effortless-looking great play in the league. It's like it's supposed to happen. Like when it's
like when Aaron Rodgers and Devonta Adams are doing that up in Green Bay.
Right, in their prime, 100%. It's just like when he lets that ball go, Chase is going to get it. It's right there in his hands. It's like a soft catch, and then bang, it's yards after the catch. I mean, the numbers that they put up are just insanity. And I know that the Ravens' pass defense is terrible, but watching those two guys, I mean, not to now compare it to the New York teams, but watching what we've seen from the offenses here and the two teams that we cover every single day, and then seeing that, it's a different football game. It's a different game. It's not the same sport.
Well, you can say that about a lot of teams in the NFL because the Bengals they have a special offense. There's no question about it, and it all stems from the quarterback and wide receiver. They're about as explosive. That's Joe Montana and Jerry Rice.
Yeah,
I mean that's what it looks like to me. And I would just say, what. The Bengals have got to make it to the playoffs. They have to. I mean, that's one of the more enjoyable teams to watch.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Here's the good news for the Jets. Both the Jets and the Bengals have the same amount of losses in the AFC. So the Jets are still very much in it. They have to beat Arizona this week, which I'm going to question a little bit later on in the show. But I would when you start looking at these things, the Jets still have an opportunity for the 7th or the 6th. Playoff spot, I believe. And you take a look at the wild cards now. The Ravens are 7-3, the Chargers are 5-3, and the Broncos are 5-4. You need the Broncos to lose this week against Kansas City Chiefs. That would be another AFC loss for them. And you need the Jets to win and get the 4-6. And if they get the 4-6 and the Colts lose, and they're 4-6, and you play the Colts next week, this is the path that maybe I was talking about prior to the New England game, but now all of a sudden.
Yeah.
These other teams could be losing around. The Chargers, they should win at home this week. They have a relative, I would say, easy game, but they play the Titans, so they should get the 6-3
and
as well.
But the Broncos are on the road at Kansas City.
Right,
so.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. The Colts have to play Buffalo at home. Buffalo hasn't won in Indianapolis in a long time. And the Broncos have to go to Kansas City, and that's a division game, and the Broncos can be a pain in the ass coming off of an ass-kicking of their own to the hands of the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah. I mean, it really, for me, everything you're saying is right about the Jets' chances and the path and what Aaron Rodgers has said. But I mean, I don't believe they're winning this game this week, and I think that it's just not going to happen. It's hard for me to believe that they're going to, after everything I've seen from them, go to Arizona and win and put it together against maybe we use spunk for the Cardinals.
So I was
a spunky team up there in Arizona.
Right. So I got to believe there's going to be a 9-8 team that's going to make it.
Sure. Yeah.
There may be 2 9-8 teams that make it.
Yeah.
And the Jets don't have a lot of room for error. They really don't. I mean, and this is one of those games where you feel like, without knowing the future, you feel like this has got to be a game where it's got to be balls to the wall. You got to win the game. You can't come out flat. You can't have a flat halftime. You just got to whatever it takes to keep the energy up and to keep it going, and somehow just come away with a win. Doesn't matter what it looks like. All it matters is it's a W, and then the next thing you know, you come back. If everything breaks the way you'd like it to break, which maybe one of these other teams will end up winning this week, where we don't think that they will, but. And then if you win, then all of a sudden, the light is on come Monday, and things are completely changed.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping for, selfishly, from the standpoint of having a team that has a shot to make the playoffs here and carries us through November and December would be great for the show, be great for Jets fans to get a taste of that and something exciting. It's just my evaluation and watching this team. It's just hard for me to believe it, even after the win against Houston. I have to see consistency. I've got to see back-to-back wins. I've got to see the offense play well again. I got to see the defense get after and find and tackle Kyler Murray. I cannot go on a leap of faith that they can go up there and win that game. And if they do, great. I'm going to be thrilled, because it's going to be just another one of those, downtrodden mornings where we all kind of I felt like it was over after the Patriots game. Now, the way things have broken, they still have an opportunity. Of course, we know they're not mathematically eliminated. There's teams that are ahead of them that aren't that good, that have better records, that they could easily come up and jump over. So there's definitely a path, but there's 2 conversations. Is there a path? Yes. Are they capable of going down that path? Do they have the vehicle in which they can handle that path? And I'm saying no to that. But a win here changes all that. It really does.
And the other thing, too, is that it's indoors. It's out in the desert. Aaron Rodgers should be perfectly fine throwing the football. I don't know if they'll have the dome open or not out there. Is that a retractable dome? I think it is.
Yes, sir.
It is, right? Yeah, so I think that they'll probably have it open, I would imagine, if there's a beautiful day, a beautiful November, desert afternoon. Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh. Wild blueberries. Oh, my gosh. Yeah,
He's on his way. He's on his way to Germany.
He's not there yet.
I don't know. When did they leave? Did they leave yesterday? I'm assuming they probably left last night, I think.
Yeah.
Or 2 nights ago.
But does he, this is an interesting one. I was thinking about this. Does he sneak away on the team plane, even though has nothing really to do with the Giants out there? Because
he's definitely on. No, he's on the team plane.
Oh, great. Good for him.
And I would imagine that the Giants probably brought some, sponsors and stuff. It's probably, they take a big plane over there. They probably bring some sponsors, and I'm sure they, I wonder if Eli's with him. Eli, that would be a question.
Actually, look, he's actually doing the game for Westwood One, Mr. Phil Sims.
Yeah.
Oh, he is.
Well,
so he's actually calling the game, too. So,
yeah, that's what I was saying. So he's working for Westwood One.
He's on the Giant plane. He's like a Giant ambassador. Then he goes over there and calls the game. I mean, this balance of nature thing is reinvigorated.
It really has.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Just nonstop.
He is grinding it out, and it's all because of the balance of nature fruit and veggies. Oh, my gosh.
Guy's
Papaya.
an animal, man.